Okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse. Today, Thursday, June 13th, 2024. We're covering the Menendez trial, but first, from the Trump docket. Down in Georgia, most had reported, probably accurately, that the appeal of the decision not to remove Fani Willis will push the case past the election. But hope springs eternal. The prosecutors have sought to dismiss the appeal, saying there's not enough evidence for an appeal. We'll see how that goes. On the same day, Nathan Wade, in an interview, stopped it halfway through when he was asked when the relationship began, and then ended up not answering the question. So that, I don't know how it plays in or whether that'll show up in the filings, but there's that. Now, the Menendez trial is getting hot and heavy. Yesterday, after Uribe was the cooperator, testified that Menendez rang a small bell out on the backyard behind Nadine's house to summon Nadine to bring him a piece of paper. And Menendez's lawyer, Adam Fee, said, "Was the bell bigger than my fist?" Then Philip Sellinger, the current U.S. Attorney for New Jersey, took the stand, and he described lobbying hard to get the job. First he wanted it in 2016, but Trump won. Then he wanted it in 2020, but then acknowledged that he would have to recuse himself from the case of Fred Daibes, because while at Greenberg-Traurig, he'd been in a case in which Daibes' interest was adverse, having to do with Edgewater, it would seem. There's also some PCP angles, but we'll get into that in the book that we're writing. But he then described Menendez asking about the Daibes matter and then not going to his investiture and saying, "We're no longer friends." He's going to be on the cross today, and we're looking forward to it. It should be quite interesting. Also in the Guo case that's going forward, very long cross-examinations. In fact, the same guy who was essentially an ex-Citibank banker that went to bank for Team Guo and G Fashion and G Clubs, still on the stand, second day of cross-examination, this time about OFAC filings. We're covering it, you can read it. We also cover the United Nations, even though we're not allowed into the United Nations because of this kind of coverage. And what we can say about that is that although today to the degree the UN has covered it all, the stories will be about Antonio Guterres and his Children in Armed Conflicts report. And the thing to remember is that just do a little Googling, take a look back. He took Saudi Arabia off the list. He made sure that they weren't on the list, even when they were dropping bombs all over Yemen, killing children. And the reason was, at the very same time, he held up large and proud a $700 million check from MBS of Saudi Arabia. So this list is a joke. Positions on it are either chosen by money or by the popularity of the day. Antonio Guterres wants to pick his own successor and launder his way through the last 10 years. We've written a story about a possible successor, Greenspan with a Y, and anyone that he selects is not the right person to choose. Censorship must end at the UN. To be continued.